I walked into my little sister's engagement party wearing a simple button-down and jeans, ready to celebrate the happiest day of her life. But her fiancé's family took one look at me and decided I was the entertainment for the evening. They mocked my clothes, my career, my life choices. Her future mother-in-law actually laughed in my face and said, "Thank God Emma is marrying up and escaping this family's poverty." What they didn't know was that the tech company they all worked for, the one they bragged about all night, the one that gave them their six-figure salaries and executive parking spots, I owned it. And on Monday morning, they were all going to find out exactly who signs their paychecks. But before I tell you what happened when I walked into that boardroom, I need you to do something for me. Comment below where you're watching from and what time it is there, because what went down at that engagement party and what I did next became the most talked about corporate shakeup in Seattle's tech scene. This story is wild, and I need to know you're staying with me. Saturday evening, June 14th, 2024. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel in downtown Seattle. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma at 5:47 p.m. "Marcus, please come early. I need my big brother here before Brad's family arrives. You're my rock." I smiled at the screen, straightened my navy button-down shirt in the rearview mirror of my Tesla Model S, and headed inside. At 32 years old, I'd spent the last decade building something extraordinary. But tonight wasn't about me. It was about Emma, my 26-year-old sister who'd been my best friend since the day she was born. Our story wasn't the typical Silicon Valley success tale. We grew up in a two-bedroom apartment in Renton, Washington. Our mom, Linda Chun, worked double shifts as a nurse at Harborview Medical Center. Our dad walked out when Emma was 3. I was 9, old enough to remember, old enough to promise Mom I'd take care of Emma. Mom died from cancer when I was 22, 6 months after I'd dropped out of my computer science program at the University of Washington. I've been building a software platform in our apartment, something that could revolutionize supply chain logistics. I dropped out to care for Mom during her final months, and in those long hospital nights, sitting beside her bed with my laptop, I finished the prototype that would become LogiStream Technologies. Emma had just turned 16 when Mom passed. I became her legal guardian, worked 3 jobs while building LogiStream at night, made sure she graduated high school, got her into Seattle University with scholarships and loans I co-signed. She never knew how many times I ate ramen for a week straight, so she could have proper meals. That was my job. That was what big brothers do. Now, standing in the Fairmont's elegant lobby, watching her run toward me in a stunning cream cocktail dress, I felt that decade of sacrifice crystallize into one perfect moment. "Marcus," she hugged me tight. "You made it. I was worried you'd be stuck in some meeting." "For you? Never. I clear my entire weekend." I stepped back, looked at her. "Em, you look incredible. Brad's a lucky guy." Her smile faltered slightly. "About Brad's family. They're kind of intense. Old Seattle money, tech executives, very status conscious. Just be yourself, okay? Don't let them make you feel like I don't belong." I finished gently. "Emma, I've survived boardrooms full of venture capitalists trying to steal my company. I think I can handle a family dinner." What I didn't tell her was that Brad's last name, Harrison, had been familiar when she first mentioned him 6 months ago. I'd done quiet research. Bradford Harrison, 3, worked in enterprise sales at LogiStream Technologies, my company. He had no idea who owned the company because I maintained strict privacy. Our executive team knew. The board knew. But the general employee base of 847 people knew me only as M. Chun, the founder who sent quarterly email updates and occasionally appeared in carefully controlled press photos where my face was partially obscured or shot from behind. This wasn't paranoia. This was strategy. When you're a 32-year-old Asian American who built a billion-dollar company from a studio apartment, you become a target. Headhunters, corporate raiders, competitors, wannabe entrepreneurs looking for mentorship they could exploit. I'd learned early to maintain separation between Marcus, Chun the person, and M, Chun the founder. Emma knew I worked in tech. She knew I did pretty well. She didn't know I was worth $1.3 billion or that I'd made Forbes 30 Under 30 list 4 years running. I kept it that way intentionally. I wanted her to have a normal life, to be loved for herself, not because her brother could write 7-figure checks. The engagement party was in the hotel's Georgian ballroom. About 60 guests, mostly Brad's family and colleagues. Emma had invited a few college friends, her favorite professor, and me. Our mom's side of the family was small, mostly scattered across the country. I was, essentially, her only family present. As we entered, I noticed Brad immediately. Tall, conventionally handsome, perfectly styled blonde hair, wearing a suit that probably cost $3,000. He saw Emma and brightened genuinely. Whatever else happened tonight, I could see he loved my sister. That mattered. "Brad, this is my brother Marcus," Emma said, pulling me forward. "Marcus, this is Bradford. Just Brad, please." He extended his hand with a warm smile. "Emma talks about you constantly. Big brother who practically raised her, made sure she got through college. I'm grateful you took such good care of her, man." His handshake was firm, his eye contact sincere. I liked him immediately, which made what came next so much more painful. "Brad, there you are." A woman's voice, sharp and commanding, cut through the ambient conversation. She was mid-50s, blonde hair in an aggressive bob, wearing a designer dress and jewelry that could fund a small car. "Mother," Brad said, his posture stiffening slightly. "This is Emma's brother, Marcus." "Marcus, this is my mother, Constance Harrison." Constance's eyes swept over me with the efficiency of a barcode scanner. Button-down shirt from Nordstrom, decent but not designer. Jeans, dark wash, clean but clearly not tailored. Shoes, leather but worn. Watch, a simple Seiko my mom gave me for my 18th birthday, the last present before she got sick. I saw her assessment complete in 2.3 seconds. Not wealthy, not important, not worth her time. "Oh," she said, the single syllable dripping with disappointment. "How nice." Emma mentioned she had a brother. She didn't extend her hand. "Marcus works in tech," Emma said quickly, sensing the tension. "He's done really well for himself." "Tech." Constance's smile was thin. "How wonderful. There's so many opportunities in that field for people who are good with computers." "Are you in IT support?" The question landed like a slap. IT support. The casual dismissal of assuming I fix computers for a living. "I do software development," I said evenly. "Logistics platforms, actually." How industrious. She'd already turned away, scanning the room for more important people. "Brad, your father wants to introduce Emma to the Wainwrights. Come along." They swept Emma away. I stood there, feeling the familiar sting of being underestimated, a feeling I thought I'd left behind in those early fundraising meetings where VCs looked at my age and ethnicity and barely hid their skepticism. The evening deteriorated from there. Brad's father, Bradford Harrison II, was a managing director at LogiStream, one of our enterprise division leaders. I recognized him from executive summaries and org charts. He earned $340,000 annually plus bonuses, had stock options worth another $500,000, and had absolutely no idea he was talking to his ultimate boss. "So, Marcus," Bradford too said during cocktail hour, his voice carrying that particular condescension of old money talking to perceived new poverty. "Emma tells us you dropped out of college. That must have been difficult, watching your sister complete her education while you had to enter the workforce early." "I had responsibilities," I said simply. "Family came first." Of course. Very admirable. Not everyone is cut out for university-level work." He sipped his scotch. "What is it you do now?" Emma was vague. "Software development, logistics, and supply chain optimization." The gig economy. Freelancing. His tone suggested I was one step above driving for Uber. "Contract work is quite popular these days. Flexible hours, I imagine. Something like that." I wasn't going to explain myself to a man who'd spent the last 6 years cashing paychecks I'd ultimately approved. The worst came during dinner. The seating arrangement placed me at a table with Brad's siblings and their spouses, plus 2 of Brad's colleagues from LogiStream. All of them worked at my company. None of them knew it. "So you're the brother," said Brittany Harrison, Brad's younger sister. She was 28, worked in our marketing department as a social media coordinator. "Emma's told us absolutely nothing about you." "I can see why." Her husband, Tyler, snorted into his wine. "Britt, be nice." "I'm being nice. I'm just saying it's interesting that Emma never mentioned having a brother until Brad proposed." Usually, people are proud of their families. Marcus raised Emma after their mother died, Brad said quietly from the head of the table. He's the reason she was able to go to college. Oh, how tragic, Constance chimed in. Losing your mother so young. And you had to sacrifice your own education to support your sister. That's very noble, Marcus, truly. It's just a shame you didn't have the resources or connections to make something more of yourself. But you did your best, and that's what counts. The table went quiet. Every eye turned to me, waiting to see how the poor dropout would respond to being patted on the head like a charity case. I've done all right, I said carefully. I'm comfortable. Comfortable. Bradford too laughed. That's the spirit. Comfortable is a fine goal. Not everyone needs to be ambitious. The world needs workers as much as it needs leaders. Dad, Brad said, his voice strained. That's not. No, let me finish. Marcus, I'm going to give you some advice, man to man. You're at a crucial age, 32, you said. That's when careers either take off or plateau. You've got a tech background, basic coding skills, I assume. Have you thought about applying to larger companies? Somewhere with structure, benefits, room for advancement. I appreciate the thought, I managed. But I'm happy where I am. The problem with freelancing is there's no security. Bradford, too, continued, warming to his subject. Several other guests were listening now, drawn by his authoritative tone. No 401k, no health insurance, no career trajectory. I'm actually a senior executive at a major tech company here in Seattle. Logistream Technologies. Perhaps you've heard of it. My heart rate increased slightly. I'm familiar with Logistream. Excellent company, really excellent. I've been there 6 years, helped build their enterprise division from the ground up. I could put a word for you. They're always looking for junior developers, maybe some QA testing positions. Entry level, but it's a foot in the door. Better than cobbling together freelance gigs. That's very generous, I said, my voice carefully neutral. Logistream is an impressive company. It really is, chimed in Derek Chun, one of Brad's groomsmen and a product manager at Logistream. No relation to me, just the unfortunate coincidence of a common surname. I've been there 4 years. The founder is a genius, total visionary. Nobody really knows much about him. Keeps a very low profile, but the culture he's built is incredible. Great benefits, innovation-focused, real meritocracy. A meritocracy, I repeated. That must be rewarding. Absolutely. They really value talent there, reward hard work. Not to be rude, but it's probably a step up from where you are now. Marcus, seriously, if you clean up your resume, lose the employment gaps, maybe take some online courses to fill in the education piece, Bradford could probably get you an interview. I looked at Emma. She was staring at her plate, cheeks flushed with embarrassment and anger. Brad's hand was on hers, squeezing gently. He looked uncomfortable, clearly wanting to defend me, but unsure how to challenge his entire family. Actually, I said slowly, I do have a question about Logistream. Bradford, too, perked up. Of course, ask away. I know that company inside and out. The founder, M. Chun. What's the company culture like under his leadership? Ah, the mysterious M. Chun. Bradford, too, smiled indulgently. Nobody really sees him. He's very young, I've heard, maybe late 20s or early 30s. Probably socially awkward, like a lot of these tech prodigies. Brilliant with code, terrible with people. That's why he hides behind emails and proxy executives. He lets us seasoned professionals actually run the company while he plays around with algorithms. That's a fascinating perspective, I said. I've always wondered if the frontline employees feel disconnected from leadership when the founder is so private. Oh, absolutely, Derek jumped in. There's definitely this mystique, right? Like, who is this guy? Why doesn't he do interviews or appear at company events? Some people think it's cool and mysterious. Personally, I think it's a bit cowardly. If you're going to build a company, you should have the guts to put your face on it. Lead from the front, you know? Interesting theory, I said. What if the privacy is strategic? To avoid distractions, keep the focus on the product rather than personality? Maybe, Derek conceded. But at some point, you've got to step up. We've got nearly 900 employees now. People want to know who they're working for. I've heard rumors he's kind of a recluse, maybe on the spectrum, socially challenged. It would explain a lot. Brittany laughed. Can you imagine? Some awkward nerd sitting in his parents' basement, sending emails to executives making 10 times what he does. I don't think the founder lives in a basement, I said quietly. And I doubt the executives make more than him. Well, obviously he's got equity, Bradford too said, dismissively. But salary-wise, I guarantee I make more than most of the engineering team. That's just how business works. The suits always make more than the coders. The conversation drifted to other topics, but the damage was done. For the next hour, I endured casual condescension, helpful suggestions about community college courses, and pitying looks from Constance every time someone asked about my work. Emma tried multiple times to steer conversations away from me, but her future in-laws kept circling back, fascinated by the project of fixing her broken brother. At 9:37 p.m., I stepped onto the hotel's terrace for air. The Seattle skyline glittered across Elliott Bay. The Space Needle lit up like a beacon. I built something in this city, something that mattered, something that employed 847 people, including the entire Harrison family. And not one of them knew. Marcus, Emma's voice, soft behind me. I'm so sorry. I turned. She was crying, mascara smudging slightly. Emma, don't. This is your night. You're happy. That's all that matters. They're horrible to you. Brad's family, they think because they have money and their names on buildings that they're better than everyone. I wanted to tell them off, but Brad said it would cause a scene, and his mom is already upset that I'm not from their social circle. And hey, I pulled her into a hug. Breathe. It's okay. It's not okay. You sacrificed everything for me. You raised me, put me through school, made sure I had opportunities. And they treat you like you're some kind of charity case. Like you're beneath them. Let me ask you something, I said gently. Are you happy with Brad? Yes. So happy. He's nothing like his family, Marcus. He's kind and funny, and he sees me, really sees me. Not my background or what I can do for his image. Just me. Then that's what matters. His family will come around eventually. And if they don't, you and Brad will build your own life together. That's how it works. She wiped her eyes. I wish I could tell them who you really are. That you're not some struggling freelancer. That you've built something incredible. But you made me promise never to talk about your company, and I respect that. I just hate that they get to be wrong about you. They're not wrong, I said. I did drop out of college. I do work from home most days in jeans and t-shirts. I'm not impressive on paper. What they don't see doesn't matter. It matters to me. I know. But Emma, I need you to trust me on something. Let them think whatever they want to think. Just for now. Can you do that? She searched my face, confused but trusting. Okay, but why? Because sometimes people reveal who they really are when they think there are no consequences. And I want to know exactly who Brad's family is before you marry into them. Marcus, what are you planning? Nothing bad. I promise. I just need to see how this plays out. We returned to the party. The evening concluded with toasts, Bradford, too, giving a long speech about family legacy and the importance of choosing the right partner. Constance dabbed her eyes delicately, though I noticed she never once looked at Emma with genuine warmth. Brad's toast was heartfelt and honest. He spoke about Emma's intelligence, her kindness, her strength. He mentioned me briefly, thanking me for taking such good care of his future wife. His family clapped politely, the way you acknowledge a helpful service worker. As I drove home that night, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Thank you for being there tonight. I love you, big brother. You're the best person I know. I sat in my Tesla in the parking garage of my downtown Seattle penthouse, the one I bought 3 years ago with a view of the water, and I made a decision. Monday morning, 8:47 a.m., I walked into the Logie Stream Technologies headquarters, a sleek glass and steel building in South Lake Union. I designed this space intentionally, open floor plans, natural light, collaboration spaces, a cafe with free gourmet coffee, gym facilities, childcare support. This was the company I'd built, the culture I'd fostered. I took the private elevator to the executive floor. My office was at the end of the hall, a corner suite with windows overlooking the city. The door had a simple placard, M. Chun, founder and CEO. I kept unusual hours, often working from home or traveling to meet with clients and investors. Most employees never saw me. This was by design. Today, that was going to change. At 9 a.m., my executive assistant, Rebecca Park, appeared with my schedule. Rebecca had been with me since the beginning, one of the first 5 hires. She knew everything. Morning, Marcus. You're sure about today? Completely sure. The quarterly executive meeting is at 10 o'clock. All division heads will be there, including Bradford Harrison too. Derek Shun from product management is presenting. And Brittany Harrison from marketing is supposed to give a social media update. Perfect. Let's make sure everyone understands that attendance is mandatory. No exceptions. Rebecca smiled. This is going to be quite a Monday. That's the idea. At 9:45 a.m., I reviewed the documents Rebecca had prepared. Personnel files for every Harrison family member and associate who worked at LogiStream. Bradford Harrison II, Managing Director, Enterprise Division. Salary, $340,000. Performance reviews, acceptable but not exceptional. Tendency to take credit for team successes. Multiple HR complaints about condescending behavior toward junior staff, all quietly settled. Brittany Harrison, Social Media Coordinator, Marketing. Salary, $78,000. Performance reviews, mediocre. Late on deadlines, high error rate in published content. 2 warnings about unprofessional social media posts about company culture. Derek Chun, Product Manager. Salary, $142,000. Performance, above average in technical skills, below average in team collaboration. 3 complaints about undermining colleagues in meetings. Tyler Morrison, Brittany's husband, Sales Associate. Salary, $95,000. Performance, below quota 3 of the last 4 quarters. On thin ice. I sat back in my chair, fingers steepled. These weren't bad people in the traditional sense. They weren't embezzling or breaking laws. They were just mediocre, comfortable. The kind of employees who coasted on acceptable performance while collecting substantial paychecks and acting like they were gods among men. The kind who looked down on others because they had a business card from a successful company, never acknowledging that the company's success had nothing to do with them. At 9:58 a.m., I walked to the executive conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a table that seated 20 screens for presentations. My seat was at the head of the table, a high-back chair that usually remained empty during these meetings. Division heads ran their own shows. I provided vision and strategic direction through emails and the occasional video call where my camera remained off. Today I was here, in person, visible. The room was already full. 23 executives, division heads, senior managers. Bradford Harrison, too, sat 4 seats down on the left, talking animatedly about his golf game last weekend. Derek Chun was setting up his presentation, nervous energy evident. Brittany Harrison was checking her phone, clearly bored to be in an executive meeting she'd been asked to attend for her social media report. No one noticed me enter. I was just another person in business casual, walking to the front of the room. I sat down in the founder's chair. Bradford, too, glanced over, frowned. "Excuse me, that seat is reserved for the founder." "I know," I said calmly. The room went quiet. Confused faces, uncertain glances. Rebecca entered behind me, closing the conference room doors with a decisive click. She stood beside the door, tablet in hand, official and unsmiling. "Good morning, everyone," I said, my voice carrying easily in the silent room. "For those who don't recognize me, my name is Marcus Chun. I'm the founder and CEO of LogiStream Technologies. I appreciate you all being here today." The silence was profound. Then chaos. "Wait, what?" Derek Chun half stood from his seat. "Marcus Chun? But you're the mysterious Sam Chun," I finished. "Yes, I prefer to keep a low profile for various reasons, which I'll explain shortly. But today, I wanted to address some concerns that have come to my attention regarding company culture and the way certain employees treat others both inside and outside the workplace." Bradford Harrison, too, had gone white. His mouth opened and closed, no sound emerging. Brittany Harrison's phone clattered to the table, forgotten. "On Saturday evening," I continued, "I attended my sister's engagement party. Her fiancé is Bradford Harrison III, a sales associate in our enterprise division and the son of Bradford Harrison II, who heads that division. It was an interesting evening. I learned a lot about how some of our employees view this company, view leadership, and view people they perceive as beneath them. I pulled up a document on the conference room screen. Let's start with some quotes from Saturday evening, shall we? These are all things that were said to me or about me by Logie Stream employees at a private family event. The first quote appeared, "The world needs workers as much as it needs leaders." Bradford Harrison, too, I said this, I noted, to a man I'd just met, offering to help him find an entry-level job at my own company because I assumed he was an unemployed loser. "Mr. Harrison, would you like to explain your thinking here?" Bradford, too, had recovered slightly, his face now red instead of white. "Mr. Chun, I had no idea who you were. If you had known, you would have behaved differently." Yes, that's precisely the problem. You treat people based on what you think they can do for you, not based on basic human respect. Next quote, some awkward nerd sitting in his parents' basement. "Brittany Harrison, Ms. Harrison, you said this about me, the founder of the company that employs you, while speculating about why I maintain privacy. You also suggested I was probably on the spectrum and socially challenged. These statements are not only wildly inaccurate, but also deeply offensive to people with autism spectrum disorders and anyone who doesn't fit your narrow definition of socially acceptable." Brittany was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. "Mr. Chun, I'm so sorry. You didn't mean for me to hear it. That's different from not meaning it." Third quote, "He's probably cowardly. If you're going to build a company, you should have the guts to put your face on it." Mr. Chun, Derek stammered. "That was taken out of context. I was just theorizing about leadership styles. You were calling me a coward for making a strategic business decision to maintain operational privacy in an industry full of ego-driven founders who become the story instead of letting their products speak. You questioned my courage and my leadership without knowing anything about me or the reasons behind my choices." I stood up, walking slowly along the length of the table. Every eye followed me. Here's what troubles me most. These comments weren't made in a professional setting where I might excuse them as poor judgment in a stressful moment. They were made at a family celebration to someone you all believed was powerless, insignificant, not worth basic courtesy. You felt comfortable mocking a stranger, offering condescending career advice, and laughing at what you assumed was his poverty, because you thought there would be no consequences. I stopped behind Bradford II's chair. He didn't turn around. "Mr. Harrison, you told me I should be grateful for comfortable as a life goal because not everyone is cut out for ambition. You're paid $340,000 annually to run a division that has underperformed targets 3 of the last 5 quarters. Your team has the highest turnover rate in the company. And you have 6 active HR complaints about your management style that our legal team has been quietly settling. Would you like to know why those complaints haven't resulted in disciplinary action?" He said nothing, because I believe people could grow. I believe that someone with your experience might eventually learn that leadership is about lifting others up, not standing on their shoulders to feel tall. I've been giving you opportunities to become the leader your compensation suggests you should be. Saturday night, I realized I was wrong. You don't want to be a better leader. You want to feel superior. There's a difference. I moved to Derek Chun. "Mr. Chun, you told me the founder should step up and lead from the front. You said privacy is cowardice. Let me share something about my leadership philosophy. I lead by building systems that work without my ego at the center. I lead by hiring talented people and trusting them to do their jobs. I lead by staying out of the spotlight so the work speaks for itself. That's not cowardice. That's confidence." "I'm sorry," Derek said quietly. "I spoke without thinking. You spoke without considering that words have impact. That's different. And in a product manager, someone responsible for collaborating with multiple teams and representing user needs, that's a significant flaw." I returned to my seat, pulling up a new document. "Here's what's going to happen. Bradford Harrison II, you are removed from your position as Managing Director of Enterprise Division, effective immediately. Your final paycheck will include 2 months severance. You're free to pursue other opportunities." "You're firing me?" His voice cracked. "Because I didn't recognize you at a party?" "I'm terminating your employment, because Saturday night revealed a pattern of behavior that I can no longer ignore. The HR complaints, the team turnover, the underperformance, your inability to treat people with dignity regardless of their perceived status. The party was simply the final proof that this is who you are. Brittany Harrison, you are also terminated, effective immediately. Same severance terms. Your performance reviews have been declining for 18 months. Your social media posts about company culture have been problematic. And your willingness to mock and demean someone you perceived as less fortunate demonstrates a fundamental misalignment with our company values. Brittany was sobbing openly now. Please, Mr. Chun, I need this job. I have student loans, rent. Then you should have thought about that before spending Saturday evening treating my sister's only family member like garbage for your entertainment. Tyler Morrison, I continued. Tyler jerked upright. Your sales numbers have been below quota for 3 of the last 4 quarters. You're on a performance improvement plan that expires at the end of this month. I'm accelerating that timeline. Termination, effective immediately, 2-week severance given your sales associate level. This is about the party, Tyler said. You're punishing us for not knowing who you were. No, I'm holding you accountable for how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter. You all work for a company that values innovation, collaboration, respect, and integrity. Those aren't just words on our website. They're standards. You all fell short. I turned to Derek Chun. Mr. Chun, you're not being terminated. You're being transferred. You'll be moving from product management to a senior engineer role, reporting directly to the CTO. This is a lateral move salary-wise, but removes you from people management responsibilities. You're technically excellent, but your interpersonal skills need significant development. You'll have 6 months to prove you can collaborate without undermining colleagues. Any questions? Derek shook his head, looking stunned. Good. To everyone else in this room, let this be a lesson. The reason I maintain privacy isn't because I'm hiding or because I'm awkward or because I'm afraid. It's because I wanted to build a company where people are judged by their work and their character, not by how well they schmooze the founder. I wanted to see how people behave when they think no one important is watching, because that's when you see who someone really is. I sat back down. Rebecca will escort Mr. Harrison, Ms. Harrison, and Mr. Morrison to their desks to collect personal items. Security will ensure a smooth exit. The rest of you, we have a company to run. Division reports will proceed as scheduled, minus the Enterprise Division report. Mr. Harrison's deputy, Sarah Chun, will step up as interim director. Sarah, congratulations on your promotion. Sarah, a talented executive who'd been buried under Bradford II's credit stealing for 2 years, nodded, stunned. Thank you, Mr. Chun. I won't let you down. I know you won't. You've been doing the actual work for years while Bradford took the credit. Now you'll get the recognition and compensation you deserve. As Rebecca escorted the 3 terminated employees out, the room remained silent. No one moved. One more thing, I said. Most of you are wondering if you're next. If I'm going to go through each of you looking for flaws or mistakes. The answer is no. Saturday night wasn't a sting operation. It was my sister's engagement party, and I went there as her brother, not as your CEO. What happened was unfortunate but illuminating. If you treat people with respect, do your jobs with integrity, and align with our company values, you have nothing to worry about. But if you've been coasting, taking credit for others' work, or treating colleagues poorly because you think your title gives you that right, consider this your wake-up call. I stood. That's all. Division reports will proceed. Thank you all for your time. The meeting continued in stunned silence, but the division heads gave their reports with noticeable nervous energy. Everyone was hyper-aware that the founder was sitting 10 feet away, actually listening. When a meeting ended 2 hours later, people filed out quickly, avoiding eye contact. Except for one person. Sarah Chun approached my seat. Mr. Chun, I just want to thank you. Bradford has been taking credit for my strategic plans for 2 years. I kept telling myself it was politics, that I needed to be patient. But watching you hold him accountable today, hearing you say that leadership is about lifting people up, not standing on their shoulders, it means everything. You've earned this promotion, I said. I've been reviewing division performance for months. Your fingerprints are all over the enterprise division's few successes. It was time for that to be recognized. If I may ask, why now? Why reveal yourself today? I thought about Emma, about the tears in her eyes on the terrace, about a decade of sacrifice, of being underestimated, of watching people make assumptions based on appearances. Because my sister is about to marry into that family, and I needed to know if they were capable of seeing past their own arrogance. Turns out they weren't. But more importantly, I realized that hiding isn't protecting anyone. It's just letting bad behavior flourish in the dark. The news spread through the company within hours. The mysterious M. Chun had appeared, fired 3 people, and disappeared back into his office. The rumor mill churned with speculation, fear, and grudging respect. By 3 p.m., my phone was ringing. Brad Harrison. Mr. Chun, this is Bradford Harrison III. I work in your enterprise sales division. I need to speak with you about what happened this morning. Come up, I said. My office. He appeared 10 minutes later, tie loosened, face pale. He sat across from my desk, and for a long moment, he just stared at me. You're Marcus. Emma's brother Marcus. You're M, Chun. Yes. My father, my sister, my brother-in-law. You fired them all this morning. I terminated their employment based on performance issues and behavior that violated company values. The incidents at your engagement party brought those issues to light, but they weren't the sole reason. But they are related. Yes. Brad leaned forward. Mr. Chun, Marcus, I don't even know what to call you. My family treated you horribly on Saturday. I should have defended you more strongly. I should have shut down my father's condescension and my sister's mockery. I didn't. I was afraid of causing a scene, of upsetting my mother, of making Emma uncomfortable. I chose the easy path, and I'm ashamed of that. Brad, you're not responsible for your family's behavior. Only your own. I know, but I stood by and let it happen. I let them humiliate the man who raised the woman I love. And now my father is out of a job, and my sister is out of a job, and they're all going to blame Emma. They're going to say she's the reason this happened, that her family brought bad luck. His voice broke slightly. I studied him carefully. This was the moment that mattered. Not the party, not the firings. This moment, where Brad had to choose between his family and my sister. Are you going to let them blame her? I asked quietly. No. The word came out firm, definite. Emma is the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's kind, intelligent, hardworking, everything I want in a partner. My family's prejudice about money and status, that's their problem. Not hers. Not mine. Good answer. But I need to know something. Are you going to fire me too? Because if you are, I'd rather you do it now. I can't spend the next 6 months wondering if I'm next, if every mistake is going to be judged through the lens of what my family did. Brad, your employment here is based on your performance, not your family connections. You're a solid sales associate. Your numbers are good, your client relationships are strong, you work well with your team. Why would I fire you? Because of what they did to you. They didn't do anything to me, I said. They revealed who they are. That's different. What matters is who you are. And so far, you've shown me someone who genuinely loves my sister, someone who's willing to stand up for her even when it costs you family approval. That's the kind of man I want in her life. Brad's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you. I promise I won't let you down, either as an employee or as Emma's husband. See that you don't. And Brad, your family is going to pressure you to end this engagement. They're going to tell you Emma is bad luck, that she's not worth the cost of your father's job. They're going to make you choose. I've already chosen. Good. Because Emma has been through enough loss in her life. She doesn't need another person walking away. After Brad left, I sat in my office as the afternoon light stretched across the Seattle skyline. My phone buzzed. Emma. Marcus, what did you do? Brad just called me crying. Something about his father being fired and you being his boss, and I don't understand what's happening. Can you come to my office? I think it's time I showed you something. An hour later, Emma stood in my office, staring at the placard on my door, the view from my windows, the signed Forbes cover on my wall featuring the headline, "The Invisible Billionaire." Chin's revolutionary approach to tech leadership. You're M. Chun, she whispered. You're the founder of LogiStream. You've been the founder this entire time. Yes, the company Brad works for. The company his whole family works for. Worked for in some cases. Past tense. She turned to me, and I saw the exact moment everything clicked into place. The party. They talked about Logie Stream. They offered you a job at your own company. Oh my God, Marcus. They had no idea. No, they didn't. And this morning I held them accountable for behavior that violated company values. Emma, I didn't do this for revenge. I did it because I needed to see who they really were before you married into that family. And I needed them to understand that how you treat people matters, regardless of who you think they are. Emma sank into a chair. I don't know what to say. You've been a billionaire this whole time? Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted you to have a normal life. To be loved for yourself, not because your brother could write checks. To not be a target for people who wanted access to money. I've seen what wealth does to families, Emma. It corrupts relationships, creates dependencies, attracts the wrong people. I wanted better for you. So you let me struggle through college on scholarships and part-time jobs while you could have paid my tuition with pocket change. Yes, the word hung between us. Why? Because you needed to know you could make it on your own. You needed to build confidence in your own capabilities, to know that your degree and your success were yours, earned through your intelligence and hard work. If I just paid for everything, you would have always wondered if you were really capable or just lucky to have a rich brother. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, that's incredibly manipulative, and also probably the most loving thing anyone's ever done for me. I'm sorry if it feels like a lie. It doesn't feel like a lie. It feels like you were protecting me, the way you always have. But Marcus, Brad's family is going to explode. His father lost his job. They're going to blame me. They're going to try to break us up. Brad knows. I talked to him this afternoon. He's choosing you. And if he changes his mind, if the pressure gets too much, then he wasn't the right man for you. Emma, you deserve someone who chooses you over convenience, over family approval, over everything. If Brad can't do that, better to find out now than after the wedding. She stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. I can't believe you built all this. Little Marcus Chun from Renton, the boy who used to fix our neighbors' computers for $20. You built a billion-dollar company. We built it, I corrected. Every sacrifice I made, every late night, every risk I took, it was all for us. For Mom's memory. To prove that we could make it, that Dad walking out didn't define us. You were my motivation, Emma. Always. She turned, tears streaming down her face. I don't know how to process this. I'm angry you didn't tell me. I'm grateful you protected me. I'm terrified of what happens next with Brad's family. I'm so damn proud of you I could burst. I'm feeling everything at once. That's fair. Take your time processing. But Emma, I need you to understand something. I didn't reveal myself to destroy Brad's family. I revealed myself because they needed to learn that actions have consequences and because I needed you to know the truth before you married into their world. You deserve to make that choice with full information. Does Brad know? About the money, I mean. About how much you're worth. No. I told him I'm the founder. He can Google the rest if he wants. But Emma, the number doesn't matter. What matters is that you're marrying someone who sees your value, who respects where you come from, who doesn't need you to be someone you're not. I think I need to go home and think about all this. Of course. Take all the time you need. She hugged me at the door. Thank you for always protecting me, even when I didn't know I needed it. And Marcus? Next time you decide to become a billionaire, maybe give his sister a heads up. I laughed, the tension breaking. Deal. The fallout was spectacular. By Tuesday morning, Bradford Harrison II had hired a lawyer claiming wrongful termination. His lawyer sent a strongly worded letter alleging age discrimination, retaliation, and hostile work environment. Rebecca forwarded it to our legal team with a note. These people really don't learn, do they? Our lawyers responded with documentation. 6 HR complaints, detailed performance reviews, team turnover statistics, and the particularly damaging detail that Bradford II had signed an employment agreement acknowledging he served at will and that the company maintained the right to terminate for any legal reason. His lawyer quietly withdrew the complaint when our legal team mentioned they had witnesses to his behavior at the engagement party and were prepared to depose every guest if necessary. Constance Harrison called Emma 17 times in 3 days. Emma didn't answer. Finally, She left a voicemail that Emma played for me on speaker. Emma, this is unacceptable. You've ruined this family. Your brother cost Bradford his career, humiliated us in front of the entire company, and you haven't even had the decency to apologize. If you think you're still marrying Bradford, you're delusional. I'm informing you that the wedding is canceled. Find somewhere else to have your little ceremony, because you're not welcome in this family. Emma looked at me. She canceled my wedding. She literally canceled my wedding. She doesn't have that authority, I pointed out. What does Brad say? He says, the wedding is still on. He told his mother that she can either attend and be civil or stay home. She's threatening to disown him. Emma, I'm sorry. This is my fault. I could try to fix this. Don't you dare. Her voice was fierce. Don't you dare apologize for holding people accountable for being terrible. Brad and I talked for 3 hours last night. Really talked. About his family, about money, about expectations. And you know what we decided? We're eloping. Next month. Just us, you, a couple of our close friends. No Harrison family drama. No expensive wedding that's really just a performance for society, people who don't actually care about us. Just two people who love each other, making a commitment. Are you sure? I know you wanted a big wedding. I wanted a wedding where I felt celebrated and loved. Brad's family was never going to give me that. So we're creating our own celebration with people who actually support us. I'm honored to be included. Marcus, you're walking me down the aisle. Well, down the beach. We're thinking Alki Beach at sunset. Very small, very us. You in? I'm in. 2 weeks later, Derek Chun requested a meeting. He appeared in my office looking nervous but determined. Mr. Chun, I wanted to give you an update. I've completed the feedback sessions you require with HR. I've been working with a coach on communication skills. And I wanted to apologize, genuinely apologize for what I said at the engagement party. It was presumptuous, disrespectful, and reflected poorly on me. I appreciate that, Derek. How are you finding the engineering team? Honestly, it's humbling. I forgot what it's like to be in the trenches, actually building instead of just managing. The team is incredible, patient with me, even though I'm sure they know I was transferred as punishment. It wasn't punishment. It was redirection. You're talented, Derek, but you were in the wrong role. Engineering is where your skills shine. Management requires different strengths, ones you'll develop over time. Maybe in a few years, when you've relearned how to collaborate without ego, we'll talk about leadership opportunities. I'd like that. And Mr. Chun, I'll look you up after the meeting. The interviews, the articles about your leadership philosophy. I understand now why you stay private. It's not cowardice. It's strategy. It's building something bigger than one person's ego. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Apology accepted. Now get back to work. I hear the API rebuild is behind schedule. He grinned. Not anymore. We shipped yesterday. Ahead of deadline. See? You're exactly where you need to be. 3 weeks after the engagement party, on a perfect July evening, Emma and Brad stood barefoot on Alki Beach. The sun set over Puget Sound, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. 10 people attended. Emma's college roommate, Brad's best friend from high school, a couple of our close colleagues, and me. The officiant, a friend of Emma's from Seattle University, kept it simple and heartfelt. Brad's vows made Emma cry. Emma Chun, you walked into my life and showed me what it means to be brave. You've overcome loss, built yourself from scratch, loved without reservation. Your brother taught you that family is about showing up, about sacrifice, about choosing each other every single day. I choose you. Today, tomorrow, forever. Not because you're marrying up or I'm marrying down, but because we're marrying equals. Partners. I promise to always see you, value you, and fight for us the way your brother taught me family should fight for each other. Emma's vows were simpler. Brad Harrison, you see me. Not my past, not my brother's success, not what I can do for your image. Just me. That's all I've ever wanted. I promise to see you too, to build a life based on who we are, not who anyone expects us to be. Let's be brave together. I handed Emma a small box during the ring exchange. She opened it to find our mother's wedding ring, the one I'd kept safe for 8 years. Mom would want you to have this, I whispered. She couldn't speak, just hugged me tight while crying and ruining her makeup. The ceremony lasted 20 minutes. The The celebration afterward, beach bonfire and takeout Thai food and laughter, lasted until the stars came out. As Brad and Emma walked along the water's edge, hands clasped, Brad's friend Mike approached me. "So you're the brother. The one who apparently runs some tech company." Something like that. Brad told me what happened with his family. That took guts, man. Standing up to them like that. I didn't do it to be brave. I did it because they needed to learn that other people have value too. Still, not many people would risk their privacy like that. Brad says you're pretty famous in tech circles, but you keep it quiet. Fame isn't the point. Building something that matters is the point. Mike nodded, looking out at the water. For what it's worth, I've known Brad since we were kids. I've watched his family treat people like disposable commodities for years. What you did, holding them accountable, it changed him. He's thinking differently about success now, about what actually matters. So thank you. 2 months after the wedding, I received an email from Bradford Harrison too. Subject line, Reflections. Mr. Chan, I've spent the last 2 months angry, bitter, convinced I was wrongfully treated. My lawyer told me I had no case. My wife told me I brought this on myself. My son told me I needed to take responsibility for my actions. They were all right. I've had time to reflect on my behavior, not just at the engagement party, but throughout my career. The way I treated junior staff, the credit I took for others' work, the condescension I showed anyone I perceived as beneath me. You were right to fire me. I was exactly the kind of leader who makes workplaces toxic. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect my job back. But I wanted you to know that this experience, as humiliating as it's been, taught me something important. How you treat people when you think it doesn't matter is exactly when it matters most. I'm in therapy now, working on these issues. I've apologized to former colleagues I undermined. It's uncomfortable work, but necessary work. Thank you for the wake-up call. I needed it. Regards, Bradford Harrison too. I read the email twice, then forwarded it to Emma with a note. People can change. Sometimes they just need the right motivation. She replied, "That's very mature of you. I'm still not inviting his mother to Thanksgiving." Fair enough. Logie Stream continued to grow. Sarah Chin's leadership of the enterprise division was transformative. Within 6 months, team turnover dropped by 40%, client satisfaction scores increased, and revenue exceeded targets for the first time in 2 years. She earned every dollar of her promotion. Derek Chun became one of our most effective senior engineers, mentoring junior developers and leading technical initiatives with newfound humility. He and I had quarterly check-ins. Progress was slow but genuine. Brittany Harrison sent me a LinkedIn message 4 months after her termination. She found work at a smaller marketing firm, taken a significant pay cut, and was apparently excelling. I've learned more about professional behavior in 4 months here than I did in 3 years at Logie Stream. Thank you for the hard lesson. I needed it. I endorsed her skills on LinkedIn. Everyone deserves a second chance. The biggest change was within myself. I started doing quarterly town halls at Logie Stream. Face visible, voice clear, answering questions directly. I talked about company vision, addressed concerns, shared wins and losses. Employees appreciated the transparency. Turns out, the mysterious founder was just a regular guy who cared deeply about building something meaningful. Forbes did a follow-up profile. The founder who came out of the shadows. They asked why I'd changed my approach. I realized that hiding was protecting me from discomfort, but it was also preventing real connection. Leadership isn't about maintaining mystique. It's about building trust. I can't ask employees to be vulnerable and authentic if I'm not willing to do the same. 1 year after the engagement party, Emma and Brad hosted Thanksgiving dinner at their new home in Ballard. Small gathering, just close friends and chosen family. I arrived early to help cook, found Emma in the kitchen, visibly pregnant. "You're glowing," I said, hugging her carefully. "I'm exhausted and nauseous, but thanks." She grinned. "Guess who's going to be Uncle Marcus?" I heard. "Congratulations. How's Brad handling the news?" "He's terrified and excited. We both are. But Marcus, we've been talking about family, about what we want our child's life to look like. And we decided something important." "What's that?" "We're not telling them about the money. I mean, obviously they'll know you're successful. But we're not raising a kid who grows up thinking they're special because their uncle is rich. We want them to learn the same lessons we learned. Hard work, humility, treating people with respect. The stuff that actually matters. I felt my throat tighten. That's wise. We learned it from you. Well, you and Mom. She taught us that character matters more than status. You lived it. Now, we're going to teach it. I'm proud of you, Em. Both of you. We're proud of you, too. For not being a trust fund kid who peaked in college. I laughed. Low bar, but I'll take it. As dinner started, I looked around the table. Emma and Brad, glowing with new parent excitement. Their friends, good people with genuine warmth. A family built by choice, not obligation. This was what it was all about. Not the company valuation or the Forbes profiles or the corner office. This, people you loved, gathered around a table, grateful for each other. Brad raised his glass. I want to make a toast. A year ago, my family tried to humiliate a man they'd just met because they thought he was beneath them. Turns out they were the ones beneath him, morally speaking. Marcus, you taught me the most important lesson of my life. How you treat people when you think it doesn't matter is exactly when it matters most. Thank you for loving Emma enough to hold my family accountable. Thank you for giving me the chance to be better than they were. And thank you for showing me what real success looks like. It's not the job title or the bank account. It's being the kind of person others want at their table. Glasses clinked. Voices murmured agreement. Emma squeezed my hand under the table. Later, as I drove home through Seattle's rainy streets, I thought about the journey. From a studio apartment in Renton to a penthouse downtown. From a dropout caring for his dying mother to a billionaire founder. From the invisible man in the room to someone who learned that being seen, really seen, was its own kind of power. The engagement party had been a test I didn't know I was taking. But in the end, I'd learned something too. You can hide from judgment, from criticism, from the possibility of being underestimated. Or you can show up fully, accept that some people will misjudge you, and trust that the right people will see your worth regardless. I'd chosen to show up, and it had cost me privacy, cost me comfortable anonymity. But it had also given me something invaluable, the knowledge that the people in my life, the ones who mattered, chose me for who I really was. Not the founder, not the billionaire, just Marcus, the guy who'd fix your computer for $20, who'd work 3 jobs so his sister could go to college, who believed that how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter is exactly when it matters most. That's the story of how a simple engagement party became the moment everything changed. How family mockery became corporate justice. How being underestimated became my greatest advantage. And how learning to step out of the shadows taught me that real power isn't about hiding who you are. It's about knowing who you are so completely that other people's opinions become irrelevant. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Have you ever been underestimated? Have you ever watched someone reveal their true character when they thought it was safe? Tell me your story. And if you learned something from this, subscribe for more real-life lessons about integrity, family, and what really matters. Where are you watching from? What time is it there? I want to know who's out there learning these lessons with me. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to figure out how to be good people in a world that often rewards the opposite. Sometimes that means holding people accountable. Sometimes it means stepping into the light. And sometimes it means trusting that the truth, when it comes out, will set everyone free. Even if freedom looks different than you expected.